Hey folks, welcome back to Alnahudy Central. This is the January update and really I haven't really done much on the layout with work, kids and an injury to my finger, which I'll tell you about in a minute. I've been struggling to get up here and finding time, but the main thing I've done is the aqueduct. So I'm nearly on the way to finishing that. I hope to get it primed, hope to get it finished and build some abutments at the end. And I'll show you. Done the layout because of work, because of kids, and also because of this. Yes, I cut my finger trying to make some homemade cable trunking to go across the viaduct. I mean, the knife does actually say fixed blade, take care when handling and storing, but I still managed to chop through my my left index finger. Wasn't so bad enough that I had to go to hospital, but obviously that put me out of action for a couple of days. So a week went by without actually doing anything on the layout. Now, as you can see, the Wills Kit's viaduct is nearly complete. I filled in places and I filled it in with decorator's cork. Using a gun, I've smoothed it all off and I think it's done as good a job as other putties or fillers would have done. Now, putting this kit together, there's numerous kits with this actual viaduct. I bought some end piers and end arches from a model shop, which were in like a second-hand bin. And I think they've obviously been there for so long, and maybe the person back before them has had them so long, that the actual brick lining paper underneath, which is supposed to be flexible, was quite brittle and it snapped. So I had to buy extra pieces of the flexible liners, which you can buy separately, in order to complete it. Now the whole span is 61 inches, just over 5 foot, just slightly under 156 centimetres. And that's the length that I wanted. And what I've done on the end is, having read this month's edition of Model Rail, I've made these abutments on the end. Now I did that with the brick sheet, well, the stone sheets, which you can buy separately from Wills, which matches the same stone effect on the actual viaduct. So overall, I'm very pleased with this. It's taken quite a long time, over a couple of months, just trying to find time here and there to slot it in and to carry on, and getting those lining papers into the bottom. There are slight raised ridges around the actual arch itself where you have to feed it in and then glue it, and they're forever popping out, and you've got to make sure that you sit there whilst holding it whilst it glues to make sure it doesn't pop out, and invariably all the time it pops out. They really are a pain in the bum. Now I've stuck the cork down to the actual viaduct itself with no more nails. I put a thin bead along each cut and then smothered it along the bottom of the cork so that it's stuck to the actual viaduct. Now the width of the cork bed itself is 3.8 centimetres. So 38 mil, and that gives me enough clearance to make some kind of shoulder when the rail is placed on. Now I have decided that I'm going to do the normal process. Well, some people wouldn't call it normal. The process of gluing the actual track down to the actual cork using PVA. I don't think that I will be able to put any track pins into it, obviously because the actual base below the cork is plastic. So I don't think that is an option. If you do have any ideas, put some comments in the comment section below, and I'll be welcome to hear anything. The other option is using the no more nails again, but that's a rather more permanent solution rather than PVA, and using the ballast to actually keep the track down. But if you've got any better solutions, please let me know. And that's what I used to smooth off the normal nails underneath the actual cork bed. There's just an off-cut piece of cork so that the normal nails meant the cork sufficiently stuck to the viaduct. So as I said, I was building the viaduct and I was thinking to put some cable trunking across the actual viaduct itself. Now, the cable trunking I'm going for is the 10 Commandments cable trunking. However, this is still £5.50 for only a 4-inch pack. So I was thinking to myself, how can I make some cable trunking to span the actual bridge without having to spend that amount of money? I think in other areas of the layout I will go with the 10 Commandments, but going over the actual viaduct I thought I'll try and make some. So I was looking around, looking at my Plastistruct pieces, and then I came across the actual sprues from the actual viaduct itself. So all these kind of sprues here, I cut them down into small pieces and find out that they're quite similar to the dimensions of the 10 Commandments. I filed these down and sanded these down. So they were all smooth. And then I was thinking, how can I actually make the cases for the top of the actual cable trunking? And I came up with this idea. So I have marked out, I don't know if you can see on this one, but I've marked out spaces every 8mm. So that will be used as my guide. Now what I did to get the actual spaces right for the homemade cable trunking is I got the 10 Commandments cable trunking out. I then simply lined up this trunking up against the homemade pieces of rodding and measured the gap between the actual cases, and that measured to be around 8, well it was 8mm. And then I transferred that 8mm onto my main piece, which I then used on each further one. And then I get one of the pieces. I make small indentations with a knife at every point, which I've done on this one. And then I use, and I've got the square edge file here, so you can get a good edge. And what I do is I pass through the cuts made with a knife, so that you can, so you don't go offline, which then makes the indentation. I give it a quick file, sand down, to get all the burrs off the edges. And it makes for some quite nice cable trunking. So what I intend to do is put this down the viaduct prior to ballasting, and then hopefully that will do the job. So as you can see, I've got loads of this homemade cable trunking to make, so I'm going to crack on and get this done, and you'll come back to it with it all complete, hopefully. So to stick the cable trunking down to the actual viaduct itself, I'm using this, which is from Deluxe Materials, Plastic Magic, which is a solvent weld essentially, but unlike other solvent welds, like possibly this one, which is good for bulk gluing, the Plastic Magic leaves a super thin line, and it's invisible as well. So you don't need much, but you get the piece that you want to glue. The handy thing about this bottle is it's quite big as well, so it lasts a long time, and you're not at risk of knocking it over like I did with the other one. Just move that one out of the way. So what we intend to do is glue a piece along here. Now you can see there's pieces already down, so all I intend to do is butt this one up to the one that's already down. Make sure it's flat so that it works better. A couple of passes with the glue to make sure it's all covered. Lid black on the glue, very important, and place it down in the position you want. Now you have got a few seconds of play with regards to where you want to position it, but after those few seconds the weld itself actually welds to the plastic of the viaduct, and there you have it, an easy process to sticking down the cable trunking. So that's all the cable trunking down now, and it goes across the whole span of the bridge. Hopefully you can make out the detail of the casing. And the next job will be to give it all a prime. So as you can see, I chose to spray paint this viaduct outside. One of the keys to spray painting, especially with aerosol painting, is to make sure you've got good ventilation. If you're doing it inside, to make sure you've got booths or you've got loads of windows to let the air out, let the air in and let the fumes out, because there's nothing worse than putting fumes up your nose or into your lungs. Get yourself a good mask, gloves, and the key to spraying, especially with spraying for priming, is short bursts, not too close, because you don't want to be flooding the area with paint, because if you do, you'll lose the detail in the brickwork and the arch stones and the stonework. So approximately 30 to 60 centimetres away from the actual piece that you're spraying, short bursts. Don't flood the piece, thinking that you'll cover the piece of kit better than a few coats. It's always better to have thin coats and more coats rather than one thick coat. So what I'm going to be using to prime the aqueduct is a can of grey primer, which is a Pro Coat spray can from Toolstation or Screwfix, I think. And it can be used for automotive things as well, so it's ideal for plastic. viaduct in roughly the place it's going to go. It's primed, it's dry, and sometime in the future, I don't know when, I'll have to start painting and weathering it. I'm also going to be placing downpipes and other metalwork, ironwork that you normally get onto viaducts. And also, as this is the upper level, there's going to be catenary on there as well. So I'm going to have to see whether it's going to be the single pole catenary or whether it's going to go on the double catenary, which I think Dapol are releasing any time now, I think. But that's sometime in the future. I haven't managed to do the bus wire, which I'd hoped to do, but hopefully next month. That's on my first list, so I can get some trains going at least, because I haven't got any trains going round, and there's no point in having a model railway if you haven't got any trains going round. So hopefully in next month's update there might be some trains going round. So that's the end of the update. Please remember to like and subscribe, and if you've got any comments about how you would do things or any improvements I could do to the layout or to any of the kits that I'm building, please let me know in the comments below. There's a Facebook site, Alnahudy Central, or if you'd like to see any of the previous updates, I'll try and put some links on the screen. Ciao for now.